you have a tendency to have lapses in concentration where you drift away and then before you know it, you're down a couple of breaks in the set, then I'm going to help you with that in this video because I want to show you some very simple training drills that you can work on to improve your ability to maintain focus for longer during matches. I hope you enjoy the video. If you do, it'd be great if you give me a thumbs up, and if you like this sort of content, really appreciate it if you could subscribe to my channel as well. Focus is controlled by parts of the brain or networks within the brain. So if you struggle to maintain focus for the duration of a set and a duration of a match, it tells us one of two things. Either these parts of the brain, mainly the frontal lobe, prefrontal cortex, aren't functioning at a sufficiently high level to focus for the level of intensity of kind of match that you're playing. Either that, or maybe there's an energy utilization issue. So maybe the part of the brain or the parts of the brain in question function really well, but you just can't get enough energy to them. So we're going to be kind of covering both topics within this video. I'm going to start by showing you some very simple training drills that you can work on to train and improve function, and then talking a little bit more about the energy side of things at the end of the video. In terms of training the parts of the brain that deal with focus, there are a few different things that we might need to work on over time, but I want to start by kind of showing you some of the most important ones and one of the best starting points. And that's going to be training eye movements, because the brain areas in question are also heavily involved in the creation of eye movements. I'm going to show you 3 different eye movement training drills, and there is research on each of these particular skills where if people can't do them very well, they have worse concentration and focus. So that's why I've chose these 3 particular drills. The first one we're going to do is a convergence exercise. Convergence is the ability for your eyes to move inwards together. When people have problems with convergence, it affects their focus. Luckily, the training can be really simple. You're going to hold a pen at arm's length. I've got my eyes focused on the tip of the pen. I'm going to slowly bring it in until it gets towards the bridge of my nose. Now, I'm not sure how well you can see my eyes because the sun is shining and I might be squinting a little bit. So I'll place an image so you can see what's going on and what should be going on, but hopefully my instructions will be enough. So I'm trying to bring it in. The eyes are going to come inwards in coordination. You should be able to get it all the way in without the target doubling. But for some people, as the target, as the pen comes in towards you, one of the eyes isn't going to be able to converge and the tip of the pen is going to start to split in 2. This indicates a problem in this area, and if that is going on, this is definitely going to be affecting your level of focus on court. So your first job is to just work on this skill, and hopefully just by working on it over and over again, you'll be able to bring it all the way in to the bridge of your nose without the tip of the pen doubling. Now, make sure that you're not compensating, because some people will bring it in down there, they'll take it there, they'll do anything they can to avoid taking it in because these muscles and brain areas aren't doing what they should be doing. So this is the sort of drill where it's a good idea to record yourself. So the first job is make sure that you can do it, and then just like all other training exercises, this is something that we're going to want to train and progress over time, because obviously one of the big things we're talking about here is maintaining focus during matches. So you really want to train these brain areas and these visual skills to have endurance so they can last for a full 3-set match. But that's the first drill, convergence with a pencil push-up exercise. I should say follow it all the way in and also follow it all the way out as well. For our next drill, we're going to be working on gaze fixation, your ability to hold your eyes locked on a target for a period of time. Now, our eyes' natural tendencies are to move around. We actually make constant tiny little movements, so the ability to really keep our eyes fixed in position trains the skill of kind of not being distracted and inhibiting unwanted movements. And in terms of research, again, there is research showing that when people don't do very well at this skill, it can lead to issues in terms of focus and concentration. It's a very simple one to train. Doesn't look very exciting, but it's very simple and very powerful. I could use a pen as a target, but what I like to use is a little bit more of a precise target. So this is just a free Snellen chart app. You can get them for iPhone, you can get them for Android, but this gives me the ability to focus on different sizes of letters, and then I'm just going to hold it in different positions. So I could hold it down, I could hold it up, I could hold it left, I could hold it right, I could hold it in the different diagonals, I could hold it directly in front of me, and I'm going to do that trying to focus for a period of time. 5 seconds is going to be a good basic minimum. 10 seconds is going to be a little bit better. But again, this is going to be something that you're going to build up over time, training the skill of keeping your eyes fixed on a target, not moving anywhere, avoiding distractions around you. Really powerful training exercise. For our final training drill, we're going to be working on eye switches or saccades. Again, this is another one of those drills where we've got research showing that poor quality saccades tend to create problems with people's focus. Another really simple drill to train. I need 2 visual targets this time. I could use anything. I'm just using 2 balls, looking at one of the numbers in the ball, in the logo of the ball. And I'm just going to be trying to keep my head as still as possible, switching between those 2 targets. Now, often when I'm talking and doing this, I move my head a little bit. It should be staying still. And you might not be able to see my eyes, but they're switching left and right. And I'm trying to get nice visual clarity on the target that I'm looking at before I make the switch. We're going to want to do multiple different directions as a minimum, horizontal, vertical, the different diagonals, but we could do these in lots of different directions. We could also do them at lots of different distances, and it's going to be another one of those. We want to progress it over time. Maybe I start off with 20 switches in each direction, but over time I work on doing considerably more because we want to train the accuracy and the quality of these eye movements and these brain areas, but we also want to train the endurance so that we can last in longer matches. Now, what you might notice is that this is the exact opposite of what I've just done. I've just done keeping my eye still. Now I'm doing fast eye switches, and potentially you might need to work on one of them a lot more than the other because you can have problems in certain areas. Now, there are assessments that we can do to try and figure that stuff out, and that's kind of part of what I teach people within my program, but I'll get to that more at the end of the video because what I want to talk about now is kind of the energy utilization side of things. In order for brain areas to do their job properly, they require energy, and to create energy we need oxygen and we need glucose. And if we can't get oxygen and glucose to a specific part of the brain, it can't perform properly. Now, when we're talking about focus and concentration, we've said that's the frontal lobe, right at the front part here. Now, where this gets a little bit tricky is in order to get oxygen and glucose to this part of the brain, our blood vessels, our arteries, etc., have to bring the blood up and forward. So we have to go through all of the parts of the brain at the bottom and at the back before we get to the front part that deals with focus. So like I said at the start, you might have amazing capacity in the front part of the brain, but there might be an energy utilization issue because if any of these areas back here are less efficient than they need to be, it basically burns through energy. Inefficient brain areas use a lot more oxygen and glucose than they should do, and that leads to less energy available at the front. Now at the back, the very back part, at the bottom, we've got something called the cerebellum that basically coordinates everything that you do. And coordination is a big deal in tennis. Then we've got visual processing, which is a huge deal in tennis. And then we've got the balance system, which is really important for all of your movements around court. And then we've got where movements are created themselves. So we've got all of these things that happen on the tennis court that burn through energy before it's going to get to the frontal lobe that deals, or the front part of the frontal lobe that deals with focus and concentration. So any efficiencies back there, then you step out on court with all this stimulus and all these things going on, and now there's no energy left over for focus and concentration. And you know, this is why some players struggle right from the start of the match just because of the extreme demands, or other players struggle more in longer matches because as these other areas get fatigued and start to burn through, then there's less available. Now we've got a few options here. Obviously, the first one is just to make sure that you're as fit as possible in terms of conditioning. That can be beneficial, but even if you're extremely fit, there's a lot of players out there that are very fit and lack focus because you might need to train and improve the function in some of these other areas. Now, in terms of that, there are a lot of different things that you can and might need to do. We can assess different parts of the brain and how they function with very simple assessments, and we can use that to help us create a targeted plan, just like we can kind of assess some of the visual skills and find out which one you might need to target. And this is some of the main kind of stuff that I help tennis players with. I teach brain-based training to improve function in different areas to really help people improve performance and become the best player they possibly can be. If you would like to learn more about this style of training, I've created a free masterclass to teach you about it. I'll place a link up there so you can check it out, and I'll place a link down in the description so you can check it out. And you know, at the end of that class, if you sign up for it, it's going to tell you a little bit more about my program and how I work with players. and the next steps that are involved if that is something that you would like to pursue. Okay, I hope you have got a lot out of this video, some very powerful exercises that you can start to work on, but obviously if you want more help, there's a lot more stuff that we can do. I'll catch you next time.